Open starts tomorrow at Crestview, but more details have come out from the Monday qualifying fight that ended up with Luke Smith being arrested, a man trying to qualify, and the man that had to withdraw, whom he threw some punches at, Austin Daly. According to Derek Fribbs, the third member of the group, it all happened because the father-son duo of the Smiths would not look for lost balls and also weren't replacing holes on some greens. Daly's frustration, he mentioned that in a comment, and that's what spurred the fight. From the KGSO Sports Desk, I'm Mason Voth.
Midwest Kia is dealing during their grand reopening. After 2 record-breaking years, there are now more new Kias on the road than ever before. And to show our appreciation, we have doubled our service capacity and sales staff to handle the increased sales and better serve our customers. During this grand reopening, you'll get 0% APR financing for up to 66 months on select new 2021 Kia models. And take advantage of up to 130% of NADA trade value. Plus, shop the redesigned Kia Sorento, Sorento Hybrid, and the all-new 8-passenger Kia Carnival. And every new Kia at Midwest Kia comes with Kia's market-leading 10-year warranty. Midwest Kia is having a grand reopening during the Trade Up to a Kia sales event. MidwestKia.com.
We want to see ya in a Midwest Kia.
Offers on select models with approved credit plus tax and fees. Not all customers qualify. Limited term financing on Sporties through KMF for $15.15 per month for 1,000 finance. Limited powertrain warranty. See dealer for details. Expires 6/30/21.
Springtime is upon us, and that means nice weather and, unfortunately, spring storms. Burwell Construction is here to not only take care of your roof, siding, and guttering should you get damage from any storms, but to make sure your backyard is more enjoyable with a new deck or patio cover. For over 30 years, you've trusted Burwell Construction. They've been improving homes just like yours. Find them online at burwellconstruction.com.
If it's built well, it's Burwell. Burwell Construction.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Going to take a look at Kansas and Oklahoma's closing cash grain bids. It is Wednesday, June 16th. Downward pressure on especially soybeans today. Corn and wheats had some pressure on them as well as far as the cash grains are concerned. Let's take a look at the numbers. We'll start today at Fredonia, where the wheat finished at 587, the corn 708, Milo 673, soybeans 1406. We'll move up to Belleville now. Wheat 586, corn 609, Milo 584, soybeans 1377. Garden City, the wheat 601, corn 728, Milo 683, soybeans $14.19. Sumner County 606 on the wheat, 693 on the corn, 718 on Milo, and $14.29 on soybeans. At Concordia, wheat finished the day at $5.96, corn $6.19, Milo $5.94, soybeans $13.87. And at Goodland, the wheat $5.75, corn $6.76, Milo $6.86, soybeans $13.67. So we'll check out Oklahoma now, starting at Enid. Wheat finished at $6.11, corn $6.93, Milo $7.38, beans $14.29. Ponca City $5.96 on the wheat, $6.79 on the corn, $7.08 on the Milo, and $14.14 on the beans. And at Panhandle Hooker, wheat was at $6.05, corn $7.43, Milo $7.13, beans $14.08. Grab the calculator to do some math. Here are the averages. $5.95 the average on wheat across Kansas and Oklahoma. That's down 2. Corn finished with an average of $6.83 across the two states. That's down 5. Milo was up 4, $6.77 the average there. And soybeans had a tough day, $14.04 the average across Oklahoma and Kansas on beans. That's down 20. So wheat was down 2, corn was down 5, Milo up 4, and soybeans down 20. Kansas and Oklahoma closing cash grain bids, Mid-America Ag Network.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Today's shaping up to be quite warm. Highs will peak in the lower 90s, about 94. Looking at sunshine, some passing afternoon clouds, southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies, light winds, and looks rather mild. We'll drop down to the upper 60s, lower 70s, about 70 in Wichita. I'm Cake meteorologist Cameron Venable.
That's your latest Cake First Alert weather update on the Big Talker, KQAM.
At 4:06, it's currently 97 degrees.
Fighting for freedom. every day.
They are absolutely desperate to pretend the last 4 years never happened and for them to go back to what they liked to do before, which is create these massive spending bills to pretend that it's really, really important to you when you only get about 5% of what's in the bill, and they can't do it because we're aware of it. We're paying attention to it, and they don't like that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
We are halfway through the week already, which is kind of exciting to me. I enjoy that. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, the post-to-post Monday, the pre-Friday celebration, the midweek. That's the way we roll it right here on the Voice of Reason. Welcome into the program, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station, all over the country, on radio and on TV and on live streaming and on podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching or listening. We appreciate you so much on all of our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv. Yeah, we got it on there, the video stream. We also have it on OurFreedomBook.com, the anti-Facebook alternative at OurFreedomBook.com. Also on Instagram and on TikTok. You can find us all at Hooser Reason, along with the website at HooserReason.com. Your millennial general reporting for duty today, the way we do every single day. Big show lined up for you today. I'm excited. I'm jazzed. Just got off doing one more day, filling in for the great Mark Walters on Armed American Radio. Little plug on him. Love filling in for his program. We had some fun on that program today. That was kind of nice. At the bottom of this hour, Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th Congressional District here in Kansas, in my home district, in the middle of the country. He'll be joining us from Washington, D.C. to talk about the latest going on there. We have a lot of questions. The infrastructure bill, we'll get into some of that. Plus, we have the appropriations process. He is on the Ways and Means Committee up there, doing budgets and taxes and spending and getting the federal budget in order. Kind of important stuff. So look forward to chatting with him in just a little bit at the bottom of the hour live from Washington, D.C. I don't know if you saw this. There's a lot I want to get to today, so we'll try and do some hit and misses across the line here. While we talked yesterday about the Joe Biden versus Vladimir Putin issue going on in Washington, or in the G7, remember? Like the Arnie versus the Danny DeVito type of mentality here that we have between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden. Yeah. We have Vladimir Putin really not caring what he's saying, going after the administration, which a communist thug that he is, it's sad when he's actually right on issues and calling out America for some of the stuff that we're doing because of the shadiness that our government's doing on our own people and stuff that he's like, if you're going to come out at me, like, why don't you look yourself in the mirror because you're doing the same stuff in Washington, D.C. with the D.C. January 6th protests, with some of the stuff you're doing with Black Lives Matter. We don't even have that stuff over here because we make sure things are running smoothly, which they're not because they're communist dictators, but they try to show that they are. And he's right on some issues with calling out America for some of this because that's not who we are. Well, there was a sneak peek about the talking points from Joe Biden. Now, when we talk about sneak peeks of the talking points from Joe Biden, I'm really meaning we got to get a glimpse of the inside of his forearm where we wrote them on magic marker. See what I did there? That's called a joke. Now, no, seriously. So we had Rumble.com actually had this on a couple different pages. Biden exposed for reading anti-Trump talking points off of flashcards. This is, remember now, he can't do a press conference and actually take Q&A because he doesn't know how to respond to them. He stutters all over the place. They try to cut him off. He's like, he has to ask permission. Is it okay? Can I take some questions? Is everything good here? Are we good? And he does one or two with a list of who he can call on. He answers a couple questions. Then he goes about his day. Then he has his press secretary come out and be like, well, I'll just circle back to you on that one because I don't really know the answers because we really don't have our stuff together here. But the talking points that we were able to see was a picture of the DOJ talking points for the President of the United States, Sunday, January 13th of 2021. And here are the bullet points that he has. Now, he reads these. He barely can read those, but he reads them. Trump abused power. Trump DOJ out of control. Now we have to clean it up. I've made it clear that this is actually on there. He can't just ad-lib. For those of you that don't know, most of you can ad-lib. Either you do which I do bullet points. When I go and speak at events, I have bullet points. I cannot write a full script because I can't stay on script. I'm a radio host. If you look at my show prep, which I'll show you here for a minute, I have talking points on the things I want to mention. I have references to articles that I want to bring up, and then I have little quotes or little stats or different statistics that I want to talk about. Outside of that, I ad-lib this whole program, which some are like, Andy, it's totally obvious. But I ad-libbed this entire program because I can't read scripts. I can't do the welcome to the voice of reason. I'm Andy Hooser. I can't do that. I just, whatever comes to the tip of the tongue at the time, I go through a filter to make sure it's FCC approved most of the time, and then we continue on. His here are semi-bullet points, but at the same time, they're scripted pretty interestingly. Here's what one of them say. I've made it clear this DOJ will reflect my values and principles and priorities, not Donald Trump's. That's a talking point. Now, just to put myself in that situation for just a second, you're president of the United States, you're making a press conference, you're trying to make some bullet points here. I don't need a bullet point to tell me I've made it clear this DOJ will reflect my values and principles and priorities, not Donald Trump's. Like, if I'm going after my opponent, the former president, and I'm trying to make some talking points, I wouldn't have to have a bullet point to say that. I'd say, you know what? We've mentioned this many times before. The DOJ is going to be under my administration. We're going to make sure it's doing my priorities, not what Donald Trump wants because he's not president any longer and what he did in the past was bad or yada, yada. And guess what? It's going to happen on our watch. It's going to happen on our mode, and we're going to do these X, Y, and Z bullet points. But I can do that without even having to read a teleprompter. But that just shows the state of mind that currently the quote-unquote, air quotes right now, Joe Biden, president of the United States, is actually running off of. Trump abused power. Well, man, you know what? I can't remember that one. Need to write it down. Little bullet points. I find it hilarious because this is the level that we're at now. I get it. There's a lot of social media out there to where they try to shorten your attention span to about an 8-second rotation. My generation's terrible at it. We have an 8 to 12-second attention span. You need to, keep their attention going every few seconds or else they lose interest and they start to glaze over. That's why for me, it took me a long time to actually do talk radio. It took me a long time to go and sit at political conferences because I would start to zone out after a minute or two listening to someone on stage banter and talk about issues. That's why for me, I don't think it was like an OCD or an ADHD thing or anything like that. I just think it was, my brain was not programmed to pay attention for long amounts of time and be able to receive that information and to maintain that information. It's hard for a lot. That's why my show is a little bit faster, a little bit more energetic. We try and keep things moving, and I'm a little bit faster talker because there's a lot that I want to get out, and I want to get it out before I forget it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But, man, I feel really bad for Joe because this guy, he has to have the most basic, simple talking points. Not only is it just stupid that the Department of Justice, he's just going after Donald Trump as opposed to talking about what he wants to do. That's one major issue that's kind of the obvious one. Like, hey, maybe we should talk about your agenda. What do you want to do with the Department of Justice? Should we, be investigating Hillary Clinton and emails sort of thing? Should we be investigating Black Lives Matter? Should we be investigating, some of the insiders that allowed people to go into the protests of January 6th? What should we be investigating here with the Department of Justice, Joe? Middle class Joe is what they like to call you before because you were part of that middle class, quote unquote, which you really weren't. That was a lie. But what should we be investigating, Joe? You have a press conference talking about the Department of Justice. This is what you're talking about. Donald Trump abused power. I will make it clear that they will reflect my values and priorities and principles, not the principles of Donald J. Trump. Man, I feel really bad. Welcome into the program. We got a lot to get to today. So we have a awakening, quote unquote, for the millennial generation on health issues when it comes to COVID-19. It's been an eye-opener for many individuals with the last year with COVID-19. I want to get to that, not to mention the identity politics back in the news with an identity crisis right now in Hollywood, as some are now starting to apologize for the movies and TV shows they're making because they didn't use a diverse enough crowd while trying to make a movie about diversity. They're apologizing at their own lack of diversity while they focus their attention on diversity. At the same time, there's a book that's come out, and I completely agree with it. We'll try and get the author of the book on the program, Identity Crisis, How Politics of Race Will Wreck America, which is absolutely true because if anything's going to destroy us, it's going to be identity politics. So I want to get to all that today here. But real quickly, I want to get off the subject of Joe Biden for a second. There's a story out of Town Hall that was actually sent to me by a listener, and I truly appreciate that. I love getting show prep. I love getting ideas and stories that maybe I miss or maybe I didn't make a priority because I saw it and I blew past it. But if something's important to you that you want me to talk about, you're more than welcome to send to me. Just email it to me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com.
Again, HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. You can send to me. And this is a story that I got from a listener, so it's kind of sort of from our mailbox.
What's in the mailbox?
And this is an article out of townhall.com of a group of parents sent their kids' face masks to a lab for analysis. What do you think they found? Now, I don't know what's going to look like for the school year coming up in the fall for August, September for schools across the country as they go back into classrooms. They're trying to vaccinate teachers, which most teachers across the nation are vaccinated. They're trying to get children now vaccinated, which personally, my personal opinion, if you're vaccinating 12-year-olds or 10-year-olds, that's borderline child abuse. I'm just throwing it out there. I know they say there's no harm to the children, but at the same time, children don't get sick from the virus. There's a handful of kids that have actually gotten sick from the virus, and we don't know what type of prior ailments they had. And if a child does have a prior ailment, then I'm guessing they're probably not going to go to the classroom because they don't want to spread the virus. It just may be me, but that would be my guess. If they already have pre-existing conditions, you probably aren't going to expose them to a mass population of kids. They're going to be, wiping their snot on their hand and giving their teacher a hug. I don't know about you. That's just what my speculation is going to be based on common sense and reason. But parents a little concerned about the face mask wearing on what's going to happen with children going into the fall semester. So they had their kids wear face masks and they sent them into labs to get tested. And oh boy, can you imagine what was in that face mask other than like smeared mac and cheese, which I'm sure was probably in there as well. Here's what the story said. Out of Gainesville, Florida, a group of parents in Gainesville concerned about potential harms from masks submitted 6 face masks to a lab of analysis. 6. That's it. The resulting report found that 5 masks were contaminated with bacteria, parasites, and fungi, including 3 with dangerous pathogenic and pneumonia-causing bacteria. No viruses were detected on the face mask, and although the tests are capable of detecting the viruses. Now, you got to remember here, this is going all the way back to like March of last year with some of the Fauci emails that have been released, where he says that, number one, there's a certain demographic of people that actually get affected by COVID-19 that includes the elderly, the immune compromised, and people that are obese. Young children really don't get sick from it. If they do get the virus, they're usually not symptomatic, which goes into the other email that shows that Dr. Fauci said that you cannot spread the virus if you're asymptomatic. But that was the whole point of us wearing masks and getting vaccinated, is because you don't know if you're spreading it around if you're asymptomatic, because you could still be infecting other people and make them die from your lack of a responsibility. Now we found out that that's just a bunch of bogus crap, and that's not actually true. Here's what it came back to show. The analysis, you know what? I don't have enough time to read through this, so I'll wait and do this after the break to read the list of things that come out. My question is that with kids having all these things in their mask, is it good to isolate it so they're not spreading it? So the mask is a good thing, and some people will advocate for, yeah, you know what, keep that mask on and keep all of these fungi and bacteria in your mask so you breathe them constantly, or so that way we don't spread it to other kids. Or is it a good idea to take the mask off of the children, let them breathe, and if they have those in their breath, to get it out of them instead of circulating it back into their bodies and breathe it back in? I don't know. We'll talk about that when we come back and see exactly what type of things they found in these masks. Only 6 masks of children, of young children. This is what they found. Crazy how the other side's not talking about this. It's The Voice of Reason. Stay here for a Wednesday.
The Voice of Reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why?
because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Thanks for hanging out with us today. 24 minutes past the hour, radio and TV and live streaming and podcasting, wherever you would be watching or listening. We appreciate you, and you know it. We love you. So, six parents sent in 6 different face masks of children, wanting to know what's in there because they were a little concerned about their kids wearing face masks. Which, come on, man. Now, I have to admit, the children are very impressionable, as you know, because when you tell them to do something, usually they'll do it when they're a little enough age. At some point, I have not quite reached this level yet for Little Voice of Reason, but they start to rebel on everything you say. Right now, they still hang on to it and just do it because they just follow what Mommy and Daddy say. So I'm holding on to this moment as long as I possibly can because I know the rebellion's coming at some point. But at this point, I feel like I feel bad because for a while there, you know, when you had to wear a mask to walk into a store, like Little Voice of Reason, she would be the first one to wear a mask. And I would be like, I'm not wearing one. And she would, Dada, you have to wear a mask. Like she was telling me, now she's good. We're like, you don't have to wear one anymore. You're good. So she takes it off and she doesn't worry about it. But when we said, you know, you have to wear a mask, they tell you so you have to wear a mask. She was the first one to put it on because she's so good. She follows the rules so nicely. I hope that never goes away. Pipe dream or realistic opportunity here? Not quite sure. Andy, you're just delusional. I know. But I didn't like her wearing the face mask because you're right. Kids, they have a lot of germs. Obviously, they wipe the snot on their hand. They go and play ball. They go and play in a recess. They sneeze on each other. They spread things around. And guess what? This may be a shocker to some that live in bubbles and are very terrified of germs and think that, the boogie monster is going to get you and bacteria every time you walk outside. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. There are a lot of doctors, both holistic alternative medicine doctors and regular mainstream doctors of Western medicine, that all say that you need to build up tolerances, which means you need children to get sick. Go make them eat dirt in the backyard when they're playing outside. Make them get the chicken pox. Make them get the flu. Make them get the stuff because they have to build up a tolerance to build up their immune system. You have to. So my question is, if you send this in and you get all these different things back from like 5 out of the 6 different masks that they sent in, is it good to isolate it in their face because they're breathing this stuff onto the mask and they're breathing it back in? Or is it bad because they're not getting it out of their system to breathe out into the world, this biological world that we live in, for someone else to potentially breathe in? Is it good or is it bad to isolate these? There are a lot of people right now that want to wear masks all year long or at least during flu season. So here's what they had to say. According to townhall.com, a group of parents in Gainesville, Florida, concerned about potential harms from wearing face masks, submitted 6 face masks to a lab for analysis. The resulting report found that 5 of the masks were contaminated with bacteria for parasites and fungi, including 3 with dangerous pathogenic and pneumonia-causing bacteria. No viruses were detected in the mask, although the test was capable of detecting viruses, meaning it could have found COVID if it was in there, but it wasn't in there. Here's what they found. They found 11 alarmingly dangerous pathogens on the mask. They found Streptococcus pneumonia. They found tuberculosis. They found meningitis. They found, I don't even know how to pronounce that one, acanthamoeba. They found pneumonia bloodstream infections and UTIs resistant to antibiotics. These are all just in the masks that they found. Out of 5 out of 6 masks, they found pneumonia, tuberculosis, meningitis, and sepsis. They found pneumonia through bloodstream infections, including UTIs. They found E. coli and food poisoning. They found causes of Lyme disease. They found diphtheria. I don't even know what diphtheria is. They found pneumophila. I don't even know what that is. Laryngitis disease, something like that. I don't even know. They found all these different things that I can't even pronounce in the mask of children who weren't sick at the time. What does that tell you? That tells you 2 things. Number 1, that we already have the stuff in our system because we need to build the antibodies to it. Number 2, let the damn kids breathe because we don't need that circulating back into their system because obviously it needs to get out, which is what the body's trying to do until you enclose it in because you're scared of a ridiculous virus that doesn't harm children.
Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before.
Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda.
What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason.
And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet.
It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com.
You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more.
It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. Halfway through the show already. It goes by way too fast, man. I don't care what any other show says. We are by far the fastest hour of radio on radio. Plus, we're on TV and on the live stream and on the podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation. one radio listener at a time. I'm super excited. Don't want to waste any time. Let's get right to our guest with the latest and what's trending.
What's trending today?
And on the phone with us, right off of the main room there at the Capitol, right in the big grand hall that is the House of Representatives. Excited to have on the program our representative here from the 4th Congressional District here in the state of Kansas. Excited to have on Congressman Ron Estes with us right now. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Andy. Good to talk to you. And you're right, I am. We're doing a series of votes today, so I actually just stepped off of the floor, and I'm in the back room, what we call the cloakroom.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you stepping out to talk to us for a few minutes because it has been a while since we've chatted. I know you guys are really busy. Real quickly, talk about some of the votes that have come up today because I can only imagine with a Nancy Pelosi-run House of Representatives, they're probably not the most conservative bills that are on the floor today.
Yeah, the votes today have been a series of amendments on a bill and then the bill itself to actually mandate that the Securities and Exchange Commission require ESG, which is basically environmental, social, and governance standards on every corporation in America, that they come back and they have to report back of what they do with their environment footprint and mandate these standards around how many people they hire, of which category, and making sure of what type of people they have on their boards of directors, and whether they check the box of the right number of males and females and Caucasians and blacks and American Indians, and trying to track all of that thing. So it's really a big government overreach in terms of going through this process.
Yeah, so in other words, it's going to try and regulate business on who you're allowed to hire, how you're allowed to hire them, and what you're allowed to do with employees and with your products because, well, it may be environmentally unfriendly. So therefore, I don't know if you're allowed to really expand your business right now.
Yeah, it really is, and it's another area where there's the mindset of the Democrats and the socialism mindset where you control business is to dictate what you can do, and you don't get to hire the best skilled employees. You have to hire the people that check the boxes.
Yeah, unbelievable. One thing that I love you to be able to be part of, because you were state treasurer here in the state of Kansas before you became a congressman, really into, that's why I think you and I jive on this. We talk about a lot about tax rates and the budget and trying to get fiscal responsibility back into the federal government. You're part of the Ways and Means Committee in the House of Representatives, and this is the season now that you guys are starting to get into appropriations talks, or at least you should be, talking about the appropriations bills and getting into the federal budget. We've obviously spent way more money than we've ever spent before with COVID-19 and some of these other ridiculous plans that the Biden administration's going after. But where are we with these talks, and do we have at least a glimmer of hope in getting back to appropriations bills instead of a big omnibus package for our federal budget this year?
Yeah, you really are. You hit the nail on the head in terms of talking about it. Our national debt is now up to $28 trillion, and it's just headed higher and higher. I mean, President Biden introduced a bill to spend more than $6 trillion this year, which, when I first came to Congress 4 years ago, it was $4.6 trillion. And so and that was too big. That was spending more than we took in at that point in time. And he's just doubling down on increasing our national debt that our grandkids and are going to have to pay back just to maintain the lifestyle we want today. And you'd ask about what's going on the tax front. There's really two things that the Biden administration is pushing. One is just increasing rates across the board in America, and whether it's corporate rates, whether it's individual rates, whether it's rates on anybody in terms of the process and what you do and how you do it. And, the sad part about that is we had the economy humming in a great fashion in January and February of 2020 before COVID hit and the governor started shutting everything down. And that was due to no small part to the tax cuts in 2017. And now the Biden administration wants to undo that and raise rates again. And in addition to that, they're making it worse by their parallel path is they are going out to other countries and trying to make agreements to have a global minimum tax on every company throughout the world. And it's because they know if they raise rates in the United States that companies will start going back and they'll start moving out of the United States. They'll be bought up by foreign companies and we'll go back to where we were. Whereas since 2017, when we passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, there's not been a single company gone through the inversion process to be purchased by a foreign company. And in the meantime, we're seeing over and over again people bringing manufacturing back into the United States, and we're seeing jobs in the United States. And they want to undo that. They want to increase a global minimum tax so that, in effect, the United States Treasury will get less money because it'll be taxed by some foreign country, and then they'll be able to deduct that off their U.S. taxes. And at the end of the day, U.S. Treasury will be less, and our companies will say, you know what, it's not economically feasible to locate more jobs in the United States. And that's the sad part of what they're trying to do.
It is a sad part, and we've talked about that, and luckily we have Ireland, which I don't usually praise Ireland for their political views a whole lot, but Ireland kind of threw a wrench in that system where they said, no, sorry, we're going to keep our corporate tax rate at 12%, so any country or any company that wants to come over here, you're more than welcome to do so, and I give them credit for that, because just one or two countries that don't do that, then they're going to see a massive increase in corporations wanting to file their headquarters over there. As they try to raise these rates, though, I mean, I'm curious on why now, because we're still coming after a COVID-19 pandemic. We shut down businesses. We made people get on unemployment. They were struggling financially. We're just starting to get things opened up. We still have a labor shortage right now, trying to get people back to work with all the unemployment benefits, but yet we want to raise individual and corporate tax rates while they're trying to say, hey, maybe I can actually open my doors and see if I can't make it through this thing. And now we want to put another tax burden on them. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense economically. I mean, if you ask every economist, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any economist, Republican or Democrat, that would say it makes sense coming out of a economic slowdown or a recession to raise taxes because you're going to cut off that economic growth that we're seeing as companies are starting to get back and they're hiring people, and we can get people off the unemployment rolls to go back to work in their jobs or a new job so that they can actually take care of their family. And the Biden administration just doesn't seem to, they don't get that. They think that government's the answer for every problem in the world, and they want to make sure that they take as much of the pie as possible from what you and I and every company and every individual earn so that they can spend it on their pet projects. And part of that gets back to they don't mind having high tax rates because then they'll give credits and deductions for special projects to all of their friends. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's the special interests that get treated well out of that process, and the rest of America has to suffer.
It's unfortunate. We're talking with Congressman Ron Estes, my congressman right here in the 4th District of the state of Kansas. Let's talk about part of this a little bit with the infrastructure package. I know it's been floating around for a while. There's been new hope, a revived hope, I guess, from Democrats saying they're willing to compromise some on it. But then at the same time, we hear about Al Gore calling Joe Biden and saying, you really need to keep those Green New Deal packages in the infrastructure package. Have you heard anything latest on this? Where is it right now? And is this part of the budgetary discussions going on right now? Or is that just another separate, this will be another $1 trillion, $2 trillion package on top of our regular federal budget?
It is another $2 trillion, although President Biden said, well, maybe I could lower it to $1.7 trillion. But it is everybody believes in infrastructure in terms of, we want to have good roads. We want to have safe bridges to drive across. We want to make sure that our ports and our waterways are functioning well. And so everybody agrees with infrastructure. But what they've done is they've taken this bill that they're marketing as an infrastructure bill. And in reality, they're requiring all these Green New Deal provisions. They're going to spend only 5% of the bill on roads and bridges. And they're going to spend over $174 billion, which is more than on roads and bridges. They're going to spend it on electrical vehicle carve-outs and special credits and other special exemptions just for electric vehicles, more so than they spend on roads and bridges. And at the end of the day, it's really false advertising in terms of what they're doing. And they're lumping so many things into infrastructure that aren't infrastructure the way we think about it. They're mandating union membership for people in old age homes because they want to take care of elderly infrastructure, quote unquote. Wow. And so we need to continue to push back and say let's at least be honest. And that's part of the problem is there's too many politicians that won't be honest in terms of what they're talking about, and we need to push back on that and continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating because we get packages where sometimes we actually do need something, whether it's, COVID relief for small business, whether it's infrastructure to some degree, and then it always gets blown up to where that'll be great, and we'll debate that 5% of the bill, and that 5% of the bill is make or break, and if you don't, then military people don't have resources, people are dying in the streets, whatever. But the other massive part of the bills have absolutely nothing to do with what they're actually calling it, and that's why people are absolutely frustrated. And I hope that most Republicans just do a hardline no on this bill, because we know that there's going to be so much pork in it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe we're out of time already. Congressman Ron Estes, we had about 30 seconds left here, but keep up the fight. It's always good to talk to you. I wanted to get to some of the Fauci emails and some of the other stuff you guys are doing, but we'll get you back on the program again real soon. But keep up the fight in D.C. I know it's hard being in the minority right now, but I know that a lot of conservatives still supporting you guys, so we appreciate what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you. And there's a lot of good folks here keeping up the fight. And, as we talked about in Bible study this morning, is that, we're wanting to make sure that we do the right thing and feel positive with that, having God to support us in the effort that we're doing.
Amen to that. Congressman, keep up the fight. We appreciate it. We'll get you back on the show again here real soon, and we appreciate your time very, very much. That's it. Congressman Ron Estes from the 4th District of Kansas here. We'll get him back on the program real soon. Back at it, Ron the floor as he goes back to do some more crazy votes for Nancy Pelosi. We will continue to support them on conservatism here.
With Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program. And here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. Conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
See, that was one of those moments where I talk about being the fastest hour of radio on radio, the fastest time flies by. I literally thought I had to look at the time and stop myself because I was about ready to go into the next question, and I literally realized we had 20 seconds left, and I thought we still had 4 to 5 minutes. I thought we still had half the interview left, and yet we were already done. So thanks again to Congressman Ron Estes coming on the program, 4th District of Kansas, right here in my area, in the Wichita area, and on the Ways and Means Committee, one of the most important committees you could possibly be on, talking about our taxes and budgets and appropriations. For those that don't know, on the appropriations process, the federal budget is not big one lump sum bill. Or at least it's not supposed to be. The last few years, really since Obama took over, 2009, 2010 is really when it started happening, was we started doing these big omnibus bills where we just throw everything into it. We have to pass it to see what's in it, and then we end up passing these ridiculous monstrosities with so much spending, and we have no idea where it's going. No idea where it's going. When the appropriate process is 12 appropriations bills. 12 of them. And they're on certain topics, they're on certain items, and each department, each agency comes up and says, I need funding for this, and, you know, we had this much money, and we need this much money this year, or we had this much money left over last year, and we want to do these programs, and you try and fight to see if you can keep your spending. And Congress sits there as the duty of the House of Representatives, because that's their duty under the Constitution, is to have the power of the purse and decide where the money goes, is to sit and listen to these arguments and decide, you know what, yes, you can have this much money, no, you don't need this much money, and we go through the entire federal government and we decide on what's important and what's not important. That's the 12 appropriations bills. We have not done that in like 10 years, and it's frustrating because we need to get back to that process. A couple of years ago, we got like 4 of them done. 4 or 5 of them done, but that was about it. And it's frustrating, and we bang our head against the wall with this process. So let's get back to that. And right now, it doesn't seem like we're doing it. So from what he said, we're doing this infrastructure package on top of our federal budget. We're doing this American Families Plan that they want to do on top of our federal budget. We've done all these COVID stimulus packages on top of our federal budget. Where we get the money for all this, I don't really know. Not quite sure. But it's not the way that our government's supposed to actually operate. So I know it's difficult, and we're probably not going to see reasonable common sense get back into our federal budget under Democrat-run and Democrat-controlled individuals in the House, kind of in the Senate and the presidency as well. Because if we pass a budget that says, hey, we're going to do like what we proposed, 10 years back. Remember the Tea Party, the cut, cap, and balance? Remember that plan? That was awesome. And they didn't get anywhere. It didn't get past committee, I don't think so. I don't think it even got to the floor on either chamber to actually get voted on. But the cut, cap, and balance bill, I remember that one. That was legit. And the Tea Party created that one. We were going to cut the budget. We were going to balance the budget, and we were going to cap the budget on what you could be allowed to actually spend based on the GDP. Because we've shattered that glass ceiling every year as well, where you're only supposed to, consume like 10 or 12 or 15% of the GDP, gross domestic product, with the economy that grows, you and I doing our thing that increases economic value in the country. The government's only supposed to take a certain percentage of that, a small percentage of that, to use on government programs, and now we just don't care. We're at like 20-30% now, and which is what's going to bankrupt us. Because when they consume more of it into the public sector as opposed to keeping it in the private sector, that's when we start to see issues in the nation. People that are staying in poverty, people that aren't able to get out of poverty, all these quote-unquote social programs that are supposed to fix all the issues that actually make things worse because people become dependent on them. When are we going to end COVID-19 unemployment benefits across the nation? I know some states have stopped it, and guess what? Their employments went up. Businesses are back at it. I got to admit, I feel really bad for small businesses all over the nation, because not only were you shut down because you were non-essential over the last year with COVID, but you're trying to open up, and distribution of goods, raw materials, products that you're trying to get in, they're not coming in because the trade routes and the distribution was all messed up because of COVID. So you don't have the product coming into your business that you need to sell, or the raw material you need to make your product in order to sell. The raw material prices have skyrocketed, so it's more expensive to make them. You can't hire anybody because people don't want to go back to work because they're sitting on the unemployment benefits. And then you're trying to turn around and keep the prices at a reasonable rate for the consumer to actually spend their money when their budget's tight too, because they're trying to keep their finances intact after COVID and after maybe being laid off and everything too. How are you surviving? Guys, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry, small business that never gets any representation in Washington, D.C. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Know that you have support. Know that we're here to support you. Consumers, whenever you get a chance, try and shop at a local store all over the country, wherever you are, and make sure the ones that actually, do things appropriately, not make you have to wear masks, not try to prove your validation of a vaccine. Actually just open and say, I'm here. Please buy my products. Please come and work for me because I need your help. Do that, because that's how we get our economy going, and we can do that, by the way, without the government getting involved. That's always the best option, isn't it? That does it for us today. Podcast going up in just a little bit. Back at it tomorrow for another day. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Wednesday. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because